And we're
On
live.
that, I'm gonna hit the record.
Hey. Testing.
Oh yeah, you can
Testing.
hear
Yes, I use my own band's music for the intro.
it. I would do the same thing.
Do you guys record here, or do you guys?
No, we record with Taylor Hahn.
He just hit us up about doing a record.
I bet he fucking did.
We.
I am here
single
with
him.
Bluprint, the band. Bluprint.band.
With no E.
Right?
Yeah, no E.
No E.
B-L-U.
Bluprint, no E, dot band
Keep rubbing my
at
leg on my
everything.
leg.
What's up, fellas?
Chillin', thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Hell
thank you.
yeah. I'm stoked to have you guys. Let's go around and talk a little bit about yourselves and how you got into music.
Dope.
Taylor, you want to start?
Yeah, I'm Taylor. I play drums for the band. Josh, Tyler, and I have known each other for quite a while, and we've been playing music together for a long time. And that's kind of the start of it all. We all moved out here and kind of formed the band with Keaton.
I'm Keaton.
Where'd you guys move out from?
Illinois, Chicago area, about 40 minutes south.
A little bit more like an hour.
Yeah.
That's
When did you guys move out here? Recently?
Me
So-
and Tyler moved out here in 2012.
It could be a
Like
long
first,
story.
Like when we first graduated, but as far as consecutively, we've been here probably about 3 or 4 years.
For the weed?
Yeah.
That's the joke. It's always a plus, though. It's always a plus.
Not for you. For the weed.
Yeah. Not for me.
No, we met Keaton later on. Josh and I played in a different band. So long story short, we met him through that. Heard him play guitar, loved the energy, and just kind of created a band with him.
Hell yeah.
You know,
And how'd you get into music?
going way back to really my dad influenced me to get into music. He was a drummer, piano player,
Nice.
big 80s hair metal guy.
Oh.
So that was kind of
Terry.
my get up
Shout
on
out
that.
to
What do
Terry.
you do, Tyler?
I play bass in Bluprint, and really I started playing music because all my friends either like skated or constantly playing sports. I couldn't skate for shit. But
Same.
so I picked up a guitar, taught myself. Took forever. I was
Hell yeah.
terrible at first, obviously.
Did you do it by like tabs or did you actually like learn
No,
theory and all that shit?
Took lessons, didn't you?
I picked.
First?
Yeah, I took some lessons.
But then you quit.
Yeah, I quit on like
Yeah,
I quit on like 4 different lessons.
I quit on lessons too.
I just picked it up on tabs, and then I joined like a couple. I wouldn't even call them bands, just people jamming.
Yeah.
Kind of how I learned. And then we were in a band in Chicago.
Us three.
That's how I learned how to play guitar, was being in a band.
Yeah. Well, I remember you told me that you played music years ago when our girlfriends worked at the same place.
Yeah.
And you said that you played bass.
That's how you guys met, right?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, I was always traditionally a guitar player, but I always played bass too.
But you're the
so-
guitar player that can play bass.
Yeah, which is everyone.
Hell yeah. If you can own it, like it
Right.
works. Like our
Right.
bass player in the backseaters, he's a guitar player, but you know, over the years he's kind of taken it upon himself to do his own thing as opposed to just like following the guitar
Yeah,
on the bass. So
I'm
yeah.
probably more theoretically, like on music theory, I'm probably more sound on bass.
okay.
Yeah, just because I played in like church groups and took lessons in that, and now I prefer it.
Yeah, I remember after our first show, we played at Lost Lake Lounge, and Tyler, you looked at me and you're like, "Yeah, I'm never playing guitar again."
Yeah, I'm totally cool where I'm at. So
Yeah, I was gonna say
Nice.
he's got a big sound on bass, so
Hell yeah.
it's pretty cool for all of us. That.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this whole thing kind of started off really as Josh's passion project. You can talk about that a little bit, Josh. Just kind of started off with you, really.
Well, I did play bass and sing in the Common Good with Taylor.
You were in that band?
Yeah,
Still are. Still a
Still
side
are.
project for us.
and we meet
Okay.
every Monday night and everything.
Mhm.
But that's kind of like how it got started. And unfortunately, we had a band member, our drummer, moved away, so it kind of like put things on a halt. And I kind of like got that desire. I wanted to keep playing. I wanted to get out. And like I'm here to make this happen. So I think it was 2 summers ago. I just broke out the acoustic and started writing stuff down and kind of just like not really force myself, but just kind of like force myself to find inspiration and start to get something going because I didn't want to waste time on that. And then it ended up turning into a little bit of a bigger project than I imagined.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Worked with a couple people in the process of getting it to where it's going to, where it's at. And now, like a year later, we're here releasing the EP already. So it's just
Awesome.
that's kind of like a play-by-play fast way through it.
Yeah,
Without
Josh
going into
really
detail.
got it all started on his own completely. Which
he-
is dope because it made all of our jobs easier, coming in. We decided to form a band. I left a band, a different band. So I left the band, and then right away I was like, Josh, the solo stuff is sounding good. Like, do you want to do more with it? And he was interested in the idea. And basically I just hit up Tyler and Keaton. I remember texting you when you lived in Michigan, just talking about the project. He moved to Michigan for a short time and then moved back.
for this band.
For the
mainly.
band, really, to start the band.
Nice.
And then
That's
right away,
cool.
we just had a game plan. We wanted to record music and record a music video right away. And that's just kind of what we did and just been going from there, so.
It was awesome because before any of us even really joined the band, Josh was already like recording these songs and
It
just
made
like
us-
taking it upon himself to be like, hey, I believe in these songs. I want to record them myself. So he just kind of took it from there, and then we just kind of leached onto him, and now we're here.
That sounds extremely similar to how I did the Backseaters, because I was playing drums for bands and then just had some ideas for songs and
It's just kind of like
recorded.
Warped Tour was like my thing. Like Warped
Yeah.
Tour, every time I go there, it like boosts my inspiration by like sevenfold. Like I don't understand why, but it kind of like gets me like that's what I want to do. And it's like I go home and I start practicing and start writing, and just like you find inspiration at the weirdest times, and it's a lot of times the more simpler lifestyle, like driving your car and just kind of like jamming out to yourself, or in the shower, or like on a walk. It's just I don't know. So,
Every time I go to a show, I have that feeling like halfway through that I'm like,
Yep.
all right, I want to go home and play. Like, I'm probably going to get a little bit of hate for this, but went and saw Dead and Company
Hell yeah.
last Saturday.
That's awesome.
I did
And
last year.
That's awesome.
I did
Just-
last year too.
listening to John Mayer and watching the whole
Yes.
thing, and then we saw Death Cab for Cutie a couple weeks ago. It just makes me want to be
Inspires you,
a
yeah.
better musician.
Yeah.
100%. A lot of our friends are deadheads, dude. So
Awesome.
we get it.
Well, I don't know about hate from you guys, but like I grew up in the
You're-
Warped Tour scene and definitely the Denver like hardcore and pop punk scene. So a lot of my friends,
We grew up in the Tinley Park, like real friends. Like Tinley Park's like 45 minutes away from where we
really,
grew up,
Yeah.
and that's where a lot of like Knuckle Puck and Real Friends came from, like that Midwestern kind of like.
they kind of
Punky
changed the
stuff.
sound a little
Changed
bit,
the game a
like
little bit.
adding
And,
that emo feel to it.
A little bit of sad stuff.
Oh yeah,
So that's why I kind of grew up. I think that kind of like transpires in the music, and I don't really mean to.
Okay.
It's just kind of like the way I think it kind of comes off kind of like that little bit of older style mid 2000s
yeah.
feel, and that's. What
Did
I
you
like
ever
about
play
it.
in a city called Barrington, Illinois?
Yeah, we did. We played,
Possibly.
Yeah,
we
100%.
played in some bar in Barrington.
Did it have like? Did you play in like was there a downstairs
Yeah,
area?
the Yahoo pub or something.
I can't remember, but I just remember the tables were bolted to the ground. And this was when I was playing guitar for If I Fail. We were on tour, and like If I Fail's music is very, you want to dance to it, and there's breakdowns and that whole thing. But yeah, I just remember there were tables bolted to the ground, and they had this huge sign out front that was like, no body slamming or slam dancing and like
All the
shit like
terms.
that. It was
fish hooking.
hilarious. But why'd you move out to Denver as opposed
You
to
take that one, Tyler.
Chicago?
You started it.
For
3
me.
months
Just
after
joking.
we graduated high school, because we all graduated the same year, same high school. Who's my wife now? She was my girlfriend at the time. She's from Colorado, and she just wanted to get out, try something. No, she wanted to go back. Sorry, and I wanted to get out, try something new.
Okay.
Traditionally, my family was like everyone lived in like 4 square miles. I was just kind of over it.
Yeah.
I was just kind of going day by day. So she dipped out here, and I came to visit, and I just never ended up going back. So.
Nice.
And then we all talked to him, and music became a conversation, of course, as to why we moved out here. It took a while to get the ball rolling on that. A lot of learning experiences.
I
in
moved back
between.
twice.
Yeah, that's kind of why I kept looking at
you.
Josh.
Because like
It's hard. When
that
you're young.
proves like, I mean, to really think about it, like sometimes you get devastated in life, but to think that like I graduated in 2012 and I moved back like 2 or 3 times and never quit, and now I'm here and now all this stuff is happening.
You guys all graduated in 2012?
Yeah,
Except for me.
He's 6 years younger than us.
Yeah, I graduated in 2017.
a baby.
Well,
Yeah,
I graduated in 2012 too.
keeps us feeling young.
I
Really?
feel like
We're all the
I
same
don't
age.
look as mature as you guys. Like you guys look like adults. I look like a child who
Cool.
got tattoos.
Depends on what day you catch us.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Or how we're acting.
Catch us at the end of the night of our EP
I'm a
release
kid.
show.
Yeah.
We'll be little kids.
Which I'm excited for it, and we will get to. But I wanted to ask, how did you come up with the name? I know it's a super like common question, but you
That's
did leave a letter off, like kind of made it, you know.
Josh has been talking about Bluprint forever, the name, and I'll let him take him from there. But like he had it in his head for a while. It's like, well, what about Bluprint?
And, like,
and we always liked it.
Anytime we ever tried to change the name, like Bluprint just kept coming back.
Yeah.
Just like it was always that, like, you know, how about we name the band this? And then Josh is like, how about Bluprint? And then we're
It's
like,
solid
how about
as
we
fuck,
change it
yeah.
again? And then they're like, how about Bluprint? And
And
then
I
it
wanted
just
to kind of like fulfill its term and its meaning, you know, as a band name. It kind of came up to me when I like I was saying, 2 summers ago. I like had a lot of things like thrown at me at once, like a kid, a car, a first apartment, like a first serving job. and
Someone
I got
threw a
2
kid at you.
You should have
That's
seen
fucking
it.
gnarly.
It was horrible.
Was there like
Was
a
the kid
big
more
kid?
hurt or you?
But
crazy tour
I don't
stories.
really know anymore. But it was just in my living room, my old apartment, and I just was sitting there into the sun through the patio and writing the answer. That's how, and that was like the first song I wrote. And
It's funny because in the music video, you're writing the lyrics, aren't you?
Well, we did write the lyrics together.
Oh, okay.
we
So-
finished them together. I didn't
Yeah.
write all the lyrics. Like all the lyrics that there's a collaboration.
It was a tag team with me and
So-
Josh. Lyric was,
But
which
like-
is awesome.
But like the meaning Bluprint, like I was saying, I don't know. I wanted to represent like these are the songs that made who I am. These are the blueprints of my life. Like, and that's why the EP is called All I've Done. It's like it's about like it takes you kind of like through the start to finish of like how I became who I am and like things that I've gone through and you know loss and gain and friendships and relationships and you know going through all the stuff that you go through as a teenager. And that's why I wanted to give it that like bring back people our age, like bring us back and give us a nostalgic kind of like a high school feel, you know?
Like 2009.
yeah, like where things
And
were a
like,
lot simpler.
Something about
I know-
2009. That
That
year
time
was
really,
just like
yeah.
solid. Like a day to remember. It just put out fucking Homesick
Yeah.
and like all those like solid Warped Tour
That's
bands.
when
like,
everyone was at their peak.
a Skylit Drive.
August Burns Red was like thrashing around.
So many. Fucking good
So
bands
that's the
in
idea of
2009.
where Bluprint came from was 2009.
It's funny that,
That
you
one
noticed though that I was writing the answer. I didn't know anyone would see that. I thought that's like, what did I write? But yeah,
Well,
I
it's in a
did.
music video, so people will
It's
notice.
it's
I'm
really
not gonna lie, I rewatched it today, but I do remember watching it like right after you guys did it and you shared it, and I was like, oh shit.
Adam
I'm pretty
Asdell,
sure-
man.
I'm pretty sure I sent you a message saying that we should play a show together, which is like
Now we're there.
everybody gets that fucking message all the time, and it's hard because people send you that message and like you want to just set up a show and have it happen right there, and then you know a lot of times you get added to a show that already has a full bill, and
Yep.
it's a fucking pain in the ass. But
Been there.
Yeah, with the music video, we just really wanted to come out strong. You know,
That was the idea.
but,
oh yeah,
we
the
don't.
quality was tight,
Yeah.
and the location that you
Uh-huh.
guys shot it at.
Yeah,
That was his
yeah,
idea.
it was just in Castle Rock.
what's so funny.
Really?
The Larkspur.
That's
Oh,
actually
okay.
right next to the new studio that we just set up.
Nice.
Like we didn't know it at the time because I was living in Castle Rock, and that's where we are practicing is at my house. And then we filmed this music video down in Larkspur. And right around a month ago, we just moved right next to where we
you
filmed
should
that
have
music
just
video.
done it in the area where they have the Renaissance Festival.
That
You
might be
really
one.
missed out on an
Hey, man.
opportunity there, bud.
Good an opportunity for
Just
next
kidding.
one.
No, it's a dope music video. And was it difficult to, because it was like at the golden time of the day or
Golden
whatever
hour.
it is. Is that what it is?
That's what
Yeah,
that's
there's
what I
some
envisioned.
around.
Like, as
So
soon as we
I
showed
thought
up
that's
there-
what it was because and I was about to say it, but I didn't want the
I mean,
Yeah, we
jokes.
wanted it.
it was kind of funny because like I picked this spot because this
Like
was
you got to get it right on the
Right.
money.
Yeah, we had like a
Yeah,
couple
and
shots.
our guy
yeah.
Adam was like, "Okay, the perfect time's now."
I kept saying that like,
Yeah.
over
He's
and over
like,
again.
"The perfect time is right now."
And
it
then
was
he kept saying that because the lighting kind of got like cool and like cool.
We're, like,
cool
setting
blue
up.
color. He's like, oh, this is super good. Oh, this is getting better.
Yeah,
and it was
I'm
like,
putting my symbol on still. All right, guys.
and it was like right once we got there too.
Yeah.
But like, what's crazy about this spot is it's like it was a kind of a part of where I grew up almost because like back in high school, this campground, which is where we filmed, was like the party spot. So it was like every weekend there was a huge rager there in high school. Like no joke, people were passed out just on the floor everywhere. There was a campfire. So like
Jeez.
going back for the name Bluprint, I mean like even the first music video kind of ties to that. But you also have to like kind of off-road a little bit to get there. So we took my truck back there and we did like 3 different trips, just bringing gear back and forth.
The cops came too.
Yeah.
Because they're like,
They
we
were
don't know what
cool
you're
as hell
doing back
about it,
there.
though.
Yeah, they were cool.
It was right after it was that huge fire hazard in Colorado.
Right.
Because last year we had that huge fire ban for like
Yeah.
months and months and months.
They
And
thought
we're
you
like,
guys were
we-
just setting up to blow it down.
Yeah.
Right. And we were like, we want to do a campfire in the video because that
That's
would
my
just tie it
favorite part.
together. And it was like literally the day after they lifted the ban, and we're going back there, and the cops are like, "What are you doing?" We're like, "We're having a campfire," and they're like, "You know, the fire ban's done," and I'm like, "Yeah, it ended today," and they're like, well, we're gonna hang out here until you're done, and we're gonna make sure you put everything out." Because I
Came
remember
back to
as we
check.
were leaving,
Yeah.
they went back in there.
I started getting tipsy towards the end of filming, so I
Yeah.
don't even remember them saying all that. I just remember loading up, and I remember
We're
them
drinking Japan's off. Have you ever had that?
No,
It's from Denver Beer Company. It's like a saison. It's fucking.
I have no idea what those words mean.
It's a saison. Sometimes they're typically brewed with rice.
Sometimes it stays on, sometimes it stays off.
Ask my wife.
That's a good one.
Anyway, yeah, there's no fucking way that we could have drank when we did our music video because it was in a body shop and it was like 100 degrees that day.
Oh man.
That's how the morning was because we started filming. I remember the place is like this place is on some TV show for like huge
Golden.
lifted trucks in Golden.
Yeah.
We shot
Okay.
his first scene there, and it was like
The
10
one
in
where you're like
morning.
at the job site
Yep.
or whatever.
It's like
the
10
mechanic
in the morning.
shop.
It's brutally hot.
Yeah, that's a nice truck, by the way.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. I drove it here actually.
I,
Badge.
you know, I
The
keep
Dodge.
bringing up these little bits to entice people to go watch the music video. But you guys have 2 music videos out,
2.
Yeah.
and one of them is for the title track, or is it like?
No, the title track hasn't been in a music video.
We were
Okay.
planning on doing one for it, but
Okay, so this
Yeah.
is where I got confused because I watched that music video and then I watched the
Nothing
I've
left to
done
lose.
teaser.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it was like back to back. So
Yeah.
that's where my confusion came
That
from.
makes sense.
But yeah, the thing I wanted to talk about with that video is it seems like you guys are all just like solid friends, and like now I know that because you graduated high school and moved out here together. But is it sometimes hard to be in a band together because you've been friends for so
Yes.
long?
That's a good question, dog.
How about
Honestly,
Taylor
yes.
and
I really
Josh?
like that question.
Well, because
it's a good question.
It's super hard because you have to know when to switch on, like being professional, when to be like purely a musician and
Yeah.
write, and when to be friends, and how to combine all of
well, and it's hard sometimes for people not to take it personally. Like when you're like, "Hey, we need to do this," they take it sometimes.
The
as a
cool
personal
thing
attack.
about the 3 of us, and Keaton just kind of like jumped right in and like is just part of the fucking gang, So like it really, when I say the 3 of us, I don't really mean it like that, but we've kind of got past all the early stages of figuring out when to say what, because we've already been in a band together, so that
Yeah.
definitely helped along the way. But I mean, me and Josh have had to work on how we communicate for sure,
Yeah.
like 100%.
We're a lot better than we used to be.
Yeah, we
For
used to
sure.
argue a lot.
I mean, Tyler and I are kind of the mediators in some of these, but
But we're passionate though, and that's
Yeah.
what you need.
Basically, we just from the beginning we sat down. We're like, we want to do this. We're either all down or we're not.
Yeah,
And we all said we're down, and we said that's it. Like it's us 4. There's no changing members. It's,
Right.
Well, and
this
that's
is
the
band
thing.
or
Like
it's not.
everybody in the band has to be all in. Would you
Mhm.
agree?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I've talked to a few bands, and it seems like the ones who are progressing, especially as quickly as you guys have, because I mean, your music video and stuff you said came out like a year ago,
6 months ago almost.
December
December.
21st, the first one.
and how long have you guys been playing shows as
January.
Bluprint?
Our
was
first
a
music
year
video
ago.
came out way before we
Like a
played our
month.
first show.
A month before our first show.
Okay, so I mean, even within the span of a year, you guys have, progressed and got
Yeah, I
some
didn't think it
cool
was gonna
shows.
happen this quick.
Yeah.
It's just- a lot of it's
Yeah.
being on the same page. I mean,
Yeah.
and when we're not on the same page, we do whatever we have to do to get on the same page. real quick.
Well,
And
you
that's
know,
awesome.
when we were talking, me and Josh, the idea of the band, obviously it was Josh's music, but I think me and his conversation is kind of what gave us the idea, like this could be a little bit more than just, whatever.
Yeah.
And, Tyler really stepped it up as far as booking shows for us, finding the right people to talk to. So, he deserves a lot of credit. Tyler's kind of our bass player / manager, honestly.
Yeah.
So
I 100% understand that role.
Yeah.
That's why I have gray hair. I don't know if you the hair gel and the hairspray kind of hides it, but
which we have a cool announcement soon. Nothing set in stone, but I'm gonna get some help on that front. So
hell yeah.
I'm pretty excited there.
And I haven't really told my story about how I joined the band.
Oh
quite
yeah.
yet.
Sorry, I fucked up.
Dude, you're good, man.
It's because you're sitting right next to me and like
Yeah,
I can
Right.
see
There's so
them
much
and-
more to look at.
Literally.
Literally.
Is that a fucking fat joke?
That's fine, dude. I'll take it. That was a good
Anyone in the
one.
band?
No,
on,
it was,
I'm in the
it
band
was
now.
more like the adults were talking.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. Okay, that is the first and last joke I'm gonna make.
All right, go ahead.
I'm still just like kind of blown away. But anyway.
Well, kind of long story short, I've been in like kind of the Denver music scene for my whole life because I started playing guitar when I was about 6 years old. So I started a long time
You got
ago
the jump.
and just kind of like moving from like small project to small project to small project and nothing really like ever, came out of anything. And that's when I started working at a music store when I was like 15 years old. And I learned how to do like repairs and fix instruments and stuff like that. So I've actually worked with a few bands in Denver, and I've actually toured with some pretty well-known bands as a guitar tech.
You want to drop some names?
So I've been with bands like Unspoken, Citizen Way. My guitar teacher was the guitar player in Trapped, so I got to work with him for a little while. Headstrong, if you guys know that one.
Thank you.
And then I actually did get a tech for Switchfoot for like one show out in California, which was pretty cool.
Are you familiar with John Foreman's like solo shit that he does?
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
But anyway, continue.
It really is.
Not a lot of people know about it. They know Switchfoot. They don't know about that. They should.
I don't. I'm gonna go check it out now.
Yeah, it's acoustic. He has a song called Caroline, and it's just like him and acoustic. There might be some like harmonies and shit, and like a harmonica, but it's like just a beautiful song. But anyway, that's fucking rad.
Yeah. So, I mean, I was a tech for a while, and working at the music store, I met Michael, who was the guitar player in the Common Good, which is the band that these guys were in. And once they like kind of just got off the ground and started running, they needed a guitar tech because Michael, crazy guitar player, and he wanted to play like 3 different guitars during the show. And then Josh wanted to play like 2 different basses, and then Jake wanted to play 3 different guitars.
It always
So-
sounds like a good idea until you get there and like you're supposed to switch guitars, but you're like, this one sounded really good tonight.
Exactly.
I always bring like an extra just in case, but yeah, I don't have the balls to try and switch everything and like hook up my wireless to the other one, and yeah.
And that's why they had me, is because like literally they were playing in like 3 or 4 different tunings. And then
okay. That's where it makes
Right.
like, a lot more sense.
so I was like running around, fixing Michael's wireless, changing guitars, setting up his pedal board, whatever, just doing the whole tech thing for this band. And I mean, I was just teching for him, just not really expecting anything because Michael was a good friend of mine. And then we were at practice one day and I just like started picking up the acoustic. And then Taylor's like, you'd be perfect for like my old band that I was in. So like, if you ever want to like write with me or whatever. But anyway, long story short, I moved to Michigan to join a worship band. So I was playing for a church for about a year. And that was awesome. I played for about 2,000 people every week. And it was
like one of
fantastic.
those mega churches.
It was like,
Kind of.
well, when you're in Michigan, every church is a mega church. So playing for 2,000 people isn't as much as like the people that play for like 10,000 people every week.
Do you want to hear like a fun music fact?
Sure.
So you know that Talking Heads song? I can't remember the exact name of it. I think it might be "Same as It Ever Was."
Yeah.
As the days go by. So they were all art students. I can't remember which college they went to, but the songwriter was inspired by those like mega church, the guys that like lead the service and like how they talk. So if you listen to the way he says everything in the verses, that's inspired by, the guys, the guys that would do all that shit, which is
That's interesting.
bananas. Like when I heard that, I thought it was kind of cool.
Yeah, all of us did play for church actually at one point. I mean, we just, kind of had that upbringing a little bit. I mean, not, too into it now, but it definitely got us to where we're at. I mean, I'm way more of a, pocket drummer than I would ever be if I didn't play credit. And he definitely, had a lot of practice on bass with that. And Josh did it too. So yeah, all of us had a little bit of a pass with that. So.
Yeah. And before I joined this worship band, it was kind of like I don't know. I was just like floating around from like project to project, playing guitar. And I was just like nothing sticking. So I was kind of almost to the point where I was like, well, okay, I'm, 18, almost 19, like not in a solid band, never been in a solid band. Like I might as well just like go to college or do my thing. And then once I got the offer to like play in this worship band the whole like full time, basically, I was just doing that every single day.
Yeah.
And then
did you get paid, or were you like living with other people that like did the whole church thing? Or?
I had my own apartment at the time. So I was living in Michigan with actually my sister and my brother-in-law at the time. Okay. So I was living with them, and my sister was a firefighter out there. So she just like paid for the apartment herself, which was awesome. So I was just kind of like bumming off of her, just like, doing the church thing every single day. Like whenever I wasn't getting paid for it too. I was just like kind of helping out at the church, playing guitar, every week. I just like didn't want to do anything else. And then, I don't know, I came to the point where I was like, well, I should probably go to school, or I should like probably find a job that's going to pay me something. And then that's when I got the call from these guys being like, hey, we're starting this band and, we'd love to have you play guitar. And I was like, I moved back to Denver.
Yeah, we kind of knew right away that it was Keaton. We talked about it, me and Josh, but not very long.
How did you guys meet?
Common good, really.
So
Michael Tripp brought it all together.
Right.
He really did, honestly. I mean, Michael Tripp shreds, man. He deserves a lot of credit. Underrated guitar player. That's besides the point. But yeah, we met through the common good and just knew Keaton that way. Knew he was a solid guy. And me and Josh were like, well, who do we want to play guitar? We had maybe like one other name of consideration, and I don't even remember who it was, but we just went with Keaton right away and asked him to join. So
nice. I feel like, have we played a show?
Probably, dude, I've seen you. I've seen you. I know that at shows, with metal shows and stuff.
One of our last shows.
Yeah,
that's probably where you saw me.
No, I fucking know that. I'm saying I've seen you like at metal shows and stuff like that. I don't know. Seen you around at the marquee.
Yeah, I was nervous to join a band again because I have this problem where I don't know how to like do shit halfway.
Yeah.
It's either like both feet like all the way in, or I'm not doing it at all. So I was like, I don't know, I don't know if we want to just be like a local band, which there's nothing wrong with that.
Well,
Or if we wanted to like, do it for fun, or if we wanted to take it serious. And I'm like, look, I have a kid. If I'm gonna do it, I want to do it for real. Like, yeah, we did too. So
that's awesome. It's extremely important, not only having a good relationship with everybody in the band, but everybody having that all-in mentality, because I don't know if people can tell live when there's certain people, like obviously if someone's not going all out, you can tell that they're not super passionate about it, but when you have those members or that member that just, it kind of weighs down the whole shit.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like an ass.
In my
but it's
opinion.
kind of like
I agree.
it just kind of sucks the energy out of you. Because if one dude wants
For
to play
sure.
at Wembley and one dude's totally cool with playing his backyard, it's like it just constantly clashes. Because
Yeah.
I mean, this is a job.
Yeah.
We put hours, 10,
Money
15, 20 hours, money to
Oh,
it
yeah.
every week. Like it's a thing where we don't get to say, hey, for the next couple of weeks, we're not doing anything. Like that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, I've seen you guys do it, and like you've probably seen that I do it, but social media just blasting it all the time. And it's like, if you really think about it, it's not that hard to post on social
No.
media.
Right.
It's easy.
But like, if
Just
you're
consistency.
consistent with it, then people will see your shit. But
There's really no such thing as overposting nowadays, just because
No.
not everyone sees it anyway.
Right.
yeah,
And it's like
I don't know though. Sometimes like
sometimes, yeah,
when people
like
do
that.
the like the big picture things on Instagram, you
and
know,
it's just like you're
and you
scrolling
have
through
like
and it looks
8
like shit.
pictures all in a row. Yeah, sometimes
It
that's a
doesn't look
little
cool
much.
until you go to the profile.
I guess, it didn't occur to me until just now that that's probably why people do it. So
Yeah,
they'll
what's
dope?
take
What's
you
dope on the
to
profile?
the actual
Yeah.
profile. Fuck me. But if you're seeing it,
I mean,
you're already following the page. So
True.
That's crazy.
a little redundant, in my opinion. But anybody who does it, don't judge me.
And that's why it's
Yeah,
so
no,
hard to like be in a band almost, because like if you're just like a solo artist, you can literally just take a selfie and be like, I'm posting it. And then it's like promo for yourself because you're the only person in the project,
For sure.
But when you're in a band, it's like, okay, we got to schedule a time to do a promo shoot. We have to schedule a time to film this. We have to schedule a time to edit this. And then we all have to agree, like, does this picture look good? Does this not look good? Because, I mean, we're all about trying to take this band as a business and really market it and kind of convey what we want to, our audience, which is our customers almost. And, I mean, a band is a business, and when you're trying to do it, full time and trying to make it happen, it's got to be, promoted as such.
We don't want it to lose that creative edge either. That's where it's hard.
Well,
It's like it's totally a
right.
business, but it's also totally not in the same
Yeah.
thing where you don't want to be a robot, but you don't want to like
Right.
At some point you can't play for like free chips and salsa at
Mhm.
the local bar, it's
Right.
you got to
Yeah.
start asking.
Yeah.
for it.
well, media is huge too. We've tried to have a videographer at every one of our shows so far. There's been like one or two that we haven't had one, but that's kind of big for us because just like even if we don't get anything super super solid, we could always use some of it for teaser footage
Yeah.
or something solid to put on Instagram. And like, it's kind of whatever. But
I love making like the compilation
Yeah.
videos.
Right, yeah.
It's just like
it's
random,
fun.
like goofy
and like you
shots.
said, if you do it enough, people will see it.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, these guys are posting a lot, and then eventually you'll start getting more views, more likes, stuff like that.
And I also think like
Yeah.
the reason we have to think about it so much is because like we haven't been a band for like 5 years. So it's like we don't have all this footage from years and years and years. So it's like
yeah.
when it comes to posting stuff, it's got to be something that we took yesterday or something we took today. It's not like throwback to 2009 when we were playing with this band.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's
Well, and that's, I know I brought it up before, but I know that I've done this and so many bands do this thing where they start the band, they write some songs, and then they automatically jump to trying to, play shows and then worry about like recording later. And, the solid foundation that you guys have, they kind of just jump that process and then go back and work on it. But I mean, the way you guys have done it, releasing singles and videos at the same time, like that's a genius thing to do nowadays, but also just having that footwork so that when you do put out your EP, it's not a surprise. You know what I mean? It's not like put out the EP and like then try and
Right.
get people to listen to it. So
It's
We
been
have-
tough
yeah,
all
we
the
have.
time releasing it because
Yeah.
we've had it recorded since
So we went into the studio in
October.
October.
before that.
And like we were saying earlier, that's the big thing. Like it started off as Josh, like he had the songs written basically. Like we all helped with the songs, don't get me wrong, but he basically wrote the EP. Like it's not a secret, And the next album we do will probably be more of a collective effort. But it was a blessing for us. It made it easy. We were just able to go and record.
nice.
And there were many days where we're like, fuck it, let's just drop the EP.
Right.
Let's just do
A
it.
couple times.
And we're like, no, someone would kind of talk us out of it. And holding on to these since November and like constantly listening
Damn.
to. I mean, I'm not even sick of it yet.
Yeah.
And then we finally got the CDs a couple days ago. and
Yeah,
it's
those
like,
are cool.
So
Let
you
me show
did
one.
make physical
Yeah,
copies?
We have them. I have one of the
We
car, I'll
can't
show you.
play like this nostalgic music and not have
Have a
CDs.
CD.
yeah.
See,
it's
I'm
awesome.
big on physical copies and stuff. I love it. It was always a dream of mine to
I
have,
like holding it.
you know, yeah.
Well, just like popping in that car and like the
We're the
drive.
last
We had a
generation
rehearsal
like
and
that.
we got them and I popped it in the car and on the drive over
Yes.
here, it's just kind of like, I don't know, it gives you that like feeling like, damn, like this, it's like a piece of art or like something that you built or
Right.
like, I
Well,
don't know,
yeah,
it's
'cause
just
it's
kind of crazy
not-
to just sit back and just be like, shit, like that's actually pretty good because like everyone's your worst critic. You
Yeah,
know, especially as an
for
artist,
sure.
any artist. And you think that's like, oh, I could have done this. Well, then there's this too. Why did I do that? It's like you take a step back from that and kind of just appreciate like it as a whole. I don't
Oh,
know.
Of this is where I was in this time, and this is how.
And then
I
you
felt.
stop listening to it, and then a week or two later, you pop back and you're like, oh, damn, it sounds pretty good. Because when you listen to it over and over again, you hear yourself, you think of all these things you need to work on, and then you hear it after a couple weeks, and it's like,
Yeah.
damn. Sounds actually
Well,
pretty
and
good.
the frustration from, you know, recording, getting copyrights, doing all that, when you get to hold the physical copy in your hands, then it's like none of that shit mattered
Yeah,
at
yeah,
all
it's all worth
because, you know, you have this thing that you'll get
Dude,
to.
us 2012 graduates, man, we're the last generation I feel like who cares about physical copies. Like, I don't want to get rid of my video games or like old movies and stuff because like I like holding it. You know what I mean? Like kids growing up aren't gonna care at all. But yeah,
Maybe
we-
it's a paranoia thing, but I'm
don't
a little
know.
sketch about like buying movies like only digital copies
Yeah,
of
right.
like video games,
lose it.
movies, like
Because
all
it's
that
gonna
shit.
disappear.
One
Yeah.
of these fucking days. That's why I still have a
Those
CD
are
player that you
snatching.
can put some Duracells in and go on about your business. Because if iTunes crashes,
Yep.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part. Sometimes, like, my thing is streaming is good for, you know, if somebody tells
Netflix.
you, like,
Check this band.
yeah, check out this band called Tiny Moving Parts. You might like them, blah, 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 blah. And then you check them out, and then, you know, you either love them or hate them, as opposed to just going on Amazon, buying the album, and then, you know, sticking it on the bottom of your CD shelf and
Well, it's
hoping
good for
one day you'll
merchant
like
shows
it.
nowadays.
Oh,
It's good
yeah.
for
That's
bands
what
in
it is,
general.
really.
It's like
It's hard
we
to
want-
sell them, though. That's why,
Yeah.
I mean, if I could give you guys a piece of advice, I know you guys have been playing music for a long time.
Take it, man.
A thing that we do is we have our EP for sale. It's like $5 for the Phantom EP. But like if somebody comes up to our merch table and they genuinely enjoyed our music and are, you know, wanting to pay for this album, especially like we've had, you know, sometimes people offer us like $10, $20. And I'll just give it to them for free
Yeah.
because if you genuinely enjoy the music and want this CD, I want you to have it.
Mhm.
I agree.
Yeah, I'd
And
rather
that's-
make a fan.
Yeah. It's not even making a fan. It's just, you know, showing like you came up to me to tell me this and you really didn't have to. So I want to give you, you know, aside from like t-shirts and hoodies, everything I can to let you know that I appreciate you.
And what's cool about having the CD is like it's like something you can give to somebody of being like, hey, I like your band, and then you're like, here's our music. You know,
Yeah.
it's like you have something to give, you know, to people, and you'll, you know, when you go on tour, it's not just like, here, check us out here, check us out here. It's like, here, listen to this, put this in your CD player,
For sure.
take a listen.
and it directly supports the band. You know,
Yeah.
at the same time, it's like
You know, people kind of made it seem like it's hard to find someone online, like a band or an artist, but it's really not. If you enjoy it, if you like what you heard, you know, you can find them.
Yeah.
It's not that hard. Like,
Well, I mean,
Something
when I
like
go to
this.
shows, if there's like I went to the Dangerous Summer like a couple months ago or
Same
whatever.
a great
State
band.
Champs one.
Well, I was at that one, but I saw them when they headlined the Marquee recently,
shit.
and it was like them, Have Mercy, and then this band called Modern Chemistry that I had never listened to them before, but they blew me away. So I went and bought their vinyl, and because I buy vinyls and CDs, like bands that I really love, like the Gaslight Anthem, Brian Fallon, Death Cab, I'll buy the CDs and the vinyl.
Yeah.
Just, you know, just to have it. And I love, you know, for the longest time I had every Blink-182 vinyl. I mean, I still have them, but I never opened them because they were treasured. And then one day I was just bored and I said, fuck it. And I opened
Yep.
all of them and they were all like the colored vinyls, like
Yes.
crazy fucking
It
colors.
blew your mind when you
Yeah.
opened it.
And I posted it all on an Instagram story. I couldn't help it.
Yeah.
But I know we touched on it, but who are the influences that really make you guys? I mean, you said that like Warped Tour bands and stuff inspire you, but what were some bands that you were listening to that kind of?
You think
I'll
about
start
it.
off by saying this genre.
We'll go in line.
There's a lot of bands I could talk about that have influenced me at different times in my life. With music, for me, well, I'm just saying for this genre though, as far as like us getting into this kind of music, I think it's Cartel. I don't know if you know them very
I
well.
definitely know. Cartel.
Just like really pop punk.
Please
Chroma. Yeah. Honestly, say anything. When we were all in 8th grade, that was like the first band that we really latched onto. And then we kind of started getting into a little heavier stuff. But like Silverstein and like Hawthorne Heights, like that emo like kind of style really influenced us to get to this point as well. Emery is huge. They're not as big as some of the other bands, but we saw them all together when we were young, just becoming friends. And then we got the opportunity to play with them last month with Hawthorne Heights, which really just inspired all of us more. It was cool because Keaton didn't really grow up with those two bands, but he got to play with them with us.
Yeah.
And it kind of got us all a little bit closer in that regard, just as far as like influences.
Bridging that gap.
Exactly. And there's a lot of other influences, but yeah, we definitely got into the whole Warped Tour metalcore type of thing for a while.
See, Hawthorne Heights was the bridge for me
Yeah.
into like hardcore.
Yeah.
And like, I guess pop punk was more from like Blink-182 and then Newfound and then kind of went that way. But Hawthorne Heights was like the first screamo, which then led to A Day to Remember, which then led to like
Day to Remember is huge for everyone, I feel like.
hardcore.
Yeah, I remember buying
Shot in
Hawthorne
the
Heights,
Dark.
The Silence in Black and White. I remember buying that. I heard it randomly at a friend's. I had my mom buy it because I was like 15. And I didn't know how to order shit online. I ended up
Nikki
buying
FM
it,
was like my favorite
and playing
song
it and
that
just
they had.
thinking, I want to play music like this somehow. I don't know how, but I
Yeah,
don't even really know how to play music, but I want to try and play something like this.
it's the emotion that it invokes.
For me and Tyler, I know Under Oath was huge for me and him.
Oh, fuck.
Because Aaron Gillespie really made me think about drumming.
Because he's not like a conventional drummer.
He does weird stuff, but stuff that makes sense.
It's hard shit, man.
Yeah.
He was the reason that every band that I had ever been in since I was 13, I always sang and played drums in every band. Like that was my one, like, I gotta sing.
I'm
If
lucky
gonna play
enough that
drums,
these guys let me do backup vocals while drumming. It's really fun for
which
me.
is tight.
It's really fun for me, so I appreciate that from these guys. Let me do that. I mean, I hope it sounds good, but I do appreciate that they let me do that because it's really fun. So.
Do you do any vocals in the studio too? Or
Not
just
on this,
live?
not on this EP.
Okay.
On the future one, I'm sure I'll hop in and try something at least once. We'll see what happens.
Josh is like, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Slow your roll there.
Yeah.
Uh,
Depends.
anyway, influences going down the line. Hawthorne Heights.
Yeah, I mean, and like you said, Cartel, that was a big band for me. I never wanted, this kind of sounds funny. I don't know if you call it pop punk, alternative rock, but I never saw
I just said alternative rock in the YouTube description just because like that could go
A lot of
Any
ways.
directions.
I just feel like the lyrics and
Alternative Rocky.
the thing about your band is just a little bit more like beyond pop punk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can agree with that too. And it's funny because I never in a million years picture myself being in a band like this. 'Cause
Yeah.
usually I'm in like super like deathcore, hardcore, like that. That's how I got introduced to the music scene in Denver. Was
Yeah.
just showing up to like,
Casey Strain.
or Oceano solo. I didn't know anyone, or
Yeah.
I would just wander into local shows and I started to meet people, and then I started to listen to more, I guess, like pop punk and
Yeah.
alternative rock, and Cartel was a big one early on, and then I started to get into things like Real Friends and Dangerous Summer, and that's what got me this way. But like kid, it was like Sublime and No
Yeah.
Doubt, and then starting to get into Blink-182 a little bit.
I'm
That's
the same
how I
way.
started.
I'm not into that.
Yeah, me and my mom always jammed
Gwen
No Doubt.
Stefani was just there's nothing that she has put out that I've been
The
like
shit is bananas though, dude. I agree with that.
I I dug the shit out of it.
There's some people that
Line's
won't
good
get
lyric.
that.
Yeah. And anywhere from like Stone Temple Pilots, you know, I can remember
Yeah.
a pretty profound memory of being a kid. My mom,
Yeah.
we're not too far in age. Me and my mom, she had me young, so she listened to all that. I found a Stone Temple Pilot CD when I was like 6 and threw it in and like blared it. And I can remember that, you know, I was a goofy kid. I didn't know what I was doing at the time, but I still listen to that album in entirety.
Nice.
So,
I guess it's my turn. My pick, if I had to pick one, it'd be Fall Out Boy. Fall Out Boy was like Patrick Stump was my fucking like my idol.
It
for
makes
the
sense
longest
with your
time.
vocals
I
because
agree.
I like idolize my voice. A lot of the things I do and the way I write and my melodies come from, you know, from Under a Cork Tree, like that album, and you know, Infinity on High. Like I used to play that on repeat in my room all the time. I don't know why. I just loved their look, their style. They were from Chicago. They were local for me, so that was kind of nice. And I don't know. I went and saw them at the Rose in Chicago when I was, I think, for my birthday when I was like 15. My dad took me. I
was
sat
that
at
when
the
they were on
very-
tour with
with
Plus
Metro
44?
Station,
Oh.
Cobra Starship, Fall Out Boy, and Hey Monday.
Damn.
Yeah, so it was back in the day, like when Cassie Pope, before Cassie Pope,
Before
was
she
a
got
country
ultra
artist,
famous.
she was Hey Monday
Metro
was my shit.
Station used to be tight too.
yeah.
My sister like didn't believe me. She's like, Cassie Pope was not in a pop punk band. I'm like, yeah, she was. I was like, yes, she was. You used to like play Warped Tour and shit.
But yeah,
Is she
like
still. She's married to someone from All Time Low, isn't she? The drummer,
I don't keep
possibly.
I don't know.
Anyway, not that it fucking
Matter.
matters. All Time Low. When you come on the podcast, we can talk about it.
Yeah.
Dude, All Time Low was a big one too. I was listening to them in like the audition, like
Yeah.
back when they were like first getting into
Back when
that
they
kind of
were
music.
See, it's crazy all being the same age because, like, you saying All Time Low, when we were 15, Nothing Personal came out, and that had Waitlist,
Waitlist.
Damned If I Do Ya.
I used to play guitar through that whole album like on repeat.
I
I
used
just
to
like
play
Dear
drums.
Maria. It's really the only song I like.
Dear Maria is good.
They're the first album. It's just like hits home as a kid, like high school and you know, Let It Roll and like Dear Maria and like all those songs.
Casey, what is it?
Boys Like Girls was a big one that they like came out with.
Boys Like Girls.
They were dope back in the day. I mean, I remember listening to it and be like, whoa, how does he sing like that?
Yeah. Yeah, that dude had a high voice.
Yeah. Patrick Stump was my boy, and then I got their DVD for their live concert in like Phoenix when they put that out, and I used to watch that like nonstop
wow.
and kind of like study what he did and how he played guitar and stuff like that. And I don't know, but that's my inspiration. And I think it comes with like a little bit of like countryside.
Your dad was a musician too.
Well, I guess I could touch on that real quick. I was born in Nashville. My dad was talking to I think he was talking to a country label or somebody that had to do with that when my mom was pregnant with me, and they moved from Illinois to Nashville. I lived there for about 2 years. I was a baby, ended up not working out, and then I came back home to Illinois and grew up there. Yeah, was raised on like Dan Fogelberg and like all these old like folk bluegrass country. The Eagles was like a huge one. The Beatles was a big one. And then I met them, and that's when I started listening to Screamo and like Alsana was like a big one that he showed me when we first got, and I hated it. And then they came out with
That's the song I was thinking of.
The Emptiness came out, the album after
Yeah.
like the first two came
I
out. I was like,
listened to
man,
that.
and that
on
came out, and I was like,
repeat.
oh my god, that whole EP is just.
What is the song at the end of that? Is it Annabelle?
The Owl is my favorite, dude.
Yeah. I mean, the way it's set up is like a concept. It
Panic at
has
the
like
Disco.
It's like
Panic
Coheed
Gary
and
was a big one,
Cambria,
too.
yeah.
I listen to
The way
that
they
their
do
first
their
album all the time.
I have a question for you. Do you hear any like twang or like country influence in his voice at all?
definitely.
Okay.
I was
He
gonna.
doesn't see it at all.
I don't
A lot
hear
of
it.
people
No,
say
I
it
see
though.
it.
Carry You Home, dude. There's one line in there where it's like you sound like a different.
I think
fucking
it's
guy.
Nothing Left to Lose for me.
Yeah.
Some kind of sickness to wear this down.
What was it? When
Yeah.
we were sitting in the studio doing the answer, and I was sitting in the hallway, I heard it.
It was just like, because at that point it was like acoustic guitar, like just the backs, and then drums, and then bass, and then it was like his vocals.
I mean, it's not like if you're not really paying
Exactly.
attention, but
So
my brain does this thing where it like downloads. Like I can imitate people
This
really
is not
well
healthy.
and like mimic them. Like it
Yep.
just my brain fucking downloads people like that. So I notice shit like that. But I mean, to anybody just having a conversation with you regularly, they probably wouldn't notice.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's certain like little undertones of twang.
Which is in our
Which is
music,
not
we're
a
cool
bad
with it.
thing.
no, it's not
We're
bad.
totally cool with it.
Yeah, kind of like that'll draw in different crowds. We feel like,
Oh, for
you
sure.
know what I'm saying? It's not just one type of demographic that we have to lean on.
And it doesn't just like tie us down to one genre either. I mean, we can play it,
We
Multiple
were
different
talking about
styles.
writing like a country song down the road just to do it and see
There's
how we can
like a
pull it off.
softer song.
I've been listening to a lot of outlaw country
Mhm.
and just that style. I'd
Earl
be down to
Haggard
do.
and like
Yeah.
Johnny Cash,
Waylon
Will
Jennings.
I
Young.
feel like it'd be a nice challenge. I think we could pull it off too. So,
Would be fun.
That would be tight.
Yeah.
Or if you just did like reinvented versions of your songs, but
in a
with-
country style,
yeah,
That'd
like
be
Steel
cool.
guitar.
using brushes and shit.
That'd be dope.
steel guitar.
Hell yeah.
Some
Yeah.
dobro or something.
So influences.
So for my influences, I kind of got into pop punk and alternative rock like through blues almost. To kind of go back to the Grateful Dead, like you were saying, Dead and Company. I'll take the hate for a little bit because I know more of Grateful Dead songs because John Mayer's in it now, and John Mayer's kind of been one of my biggest influences growing up.
He rips on guitar, dude. John
So-
Mayer Trio.
So underrated.
So underrated.
I mean, like, okay, other people would probably say overrated because of like Your Body is a Wonderland
Right.
and
But they
shit
don't
like
understand.
that. But like John Mayer,
They haven't, like-
Trio,
John Mayer Trio.
Yeah, they need to like dive in
Yeah.
further.
The show I went to at Pepsi Center, the trio opened up for him.
I wish
And
I
that shit
could
was
have
awesome.
Right.
gone to that one. I saw him at Red Rocks after Paradise Valley came out,
Yes.
and he played Neon, just him,
Mhm.
acoustic, and like ripped a
So
solo,
good.
and it was pretty mind blowing.
I saw him at the Pepsi Center show and he had 3 different acts. So he started with the trio and then he came out, did an acoustic
And
set,
then he did a normal
and then he
set.
did a full band set. And then he ended it with just one song on piano. And then he
Oh, damn.
walked through a door like in the middle of
It
the
was really
stage.
awesome,
and just
man.
went. It was just like the most classy performance I've ever seen
Yeah, we were
of
both
any
there.
artist.
Didn't know that at the time.
Because it was like he'd come out and play a song, and then right after the song, everything would fade to black, and then you'd see a typewriter typing out chapter 2, and then the
That's
whole
tight.
band would come out right after that, and it was like so professionally done,
Cinematic.
so classy, and me like. I know I could probably, sing every John Mayer song in the book just because, like, I don't know, something about like his songs would just like speak to my heart. But me, I was like bawling my eyes out the whole show. Like, no joke. I was just like,
beautiful.
but like, it's kind of, you're in that moment and it's just like you and John. And then like, and 10,000 other people, but it's like me and him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like when it's that artist that you like look up to so much, it's like you have that moment,
I get it. First time I saw the Gaslight Anthem and Brian Fallon, I don't even think I sang along to any of the songs because I was so just like,
You're just
Just awe.
because they were, I mean, he's the whole reason I, started the Backseaters. So I
Nice.
get it. But going off of what you said about John Mayer, that's probably why he likes playing with the
Mm.
Grateful Dead so much, is because like his shows are so,
Crazy.
they fall in line so well.
right.
And when he plays with the Grateful Dead, endless possibilities. There's no set list,
Right.
shit like that. So he gets to just, go out there. He doesn't have to be
Do his
Your
thing.
Body is a Wonderland, John Mayer.
Yeah,
Right.
In the shred.
Absolutely. He doesn't have to be date night John.
Is that
Every
that's
year.
one of his newer ones, huh?
And
Is
you
it
know,
one of
all
his-
the fans who had a lot of backlash on him joining, like I get it at first, but he makes a lot of those songs sound.
Yeah.
He makes people happy with
Yeah.
his music, and
And his
people like
voice.
it, so it doesn't matter.
And at the end of the day, the Dead is touring.
Yeah.
That's super cool. Even if you're not a Dead fan, this band is like a generational band. They've been playing 50 years.
Right. Yeah, since 1967, 68.
And this is going to be like a band where it's like when Bob Weir dies, like we're going to be able to say, oh, we saw him live with John Mayer.
Yeah, Bob Weir, I mean, I'm
And-
pretty sure he said himself, like John is carrying the next generation. This doesn't
Yeah.
stop with me.
Right.
This
Well,
keeps going.
I mean, there's a set of videos on YouTube where he's talking about, when he joined and stuff, like he watched videos and listened to, every single song, every single iteration of how Jerry Garcia played the songs. And he said it's not, you're not just playing songs, you're playing people's memories
Right.
of these songs, because like some people have been listening to it since 70s, 80s, whatever. And
And it's been their soundtrack for their life.
exactly.
So it's like,
Their
And he
kids.
took it
Yeah.
upon himself to, understand what a, huge responsibility it was to take that on. Fuck Trey Anastasio. Or whatever that guy's name is.
I mean, I respect Fish, but I'm not about it. I
I'm
don't
not
listen
about
to
it
him
either.
that much. I like more of the jam bandier kind of stuff.
That's like the epitome of jam band.
I mean,
I like Grateful Dead, but as far as like String Cheese and like all the
I like
other
Dope
ones,
I've heard nothing about good things, but
same.
It's
For
not my
sure cheese.
style.
That's
Yeah.
that's the extent of how far I venture, and I
Yeah,
think part
same.
of it has to do with. I mean, I watched Bob Weir's documentary on Netflix, Long Strange Trip on Prime
That's dope.
Video. But like a lot of it just has to do with the fact that, and the reason why I started listening to them is because they started out playing like bluegrass and
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
real like rock and roll. Like it wasn't fucking super
Just
trippy,
trippy
back
stuff,
in the
yeah.
day. Like if you listen to Europe '72, like that's rock and roll.
and also the thing is like the Grateful Dead's not like a goofy band. Like when you think of String Cheese Incident, like even their name's pretty goofy.
Oh
And like I work at a music store, so when it comes to like guitar players, they're like Trey is the best, and like they love all the crazy stuff that Fish does and whatever. But I mean, once I saw like their drummer dresses up in a dress, I kind of just like turned me off a little bit, and how they just wrote all these goofy
That's
songs.
the one thing I would like.
Like, I mean, I understand it and I get it. It's just like it's almost like they're not taking their music seriously in a way, but granted they are, but I don't know.
That's rough for me as well.
It was just like, when it's the Grateful Dead, it's like classy songs, folk,
Yeah.
it's real music. And
It's
then
like
Ramble on
Five
Rose is my
different-
favorite
Yeah.
Grateful Dead song.
They play
Tennessee
rock, they
Jack.
play punk,
Yeah.
they play 80s
Mhm.
pop. It's
Yeah.
it's everything.
All right. Enough about the Grateful Dead.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's move on.
I'll kind of tie it back. So like that's kind of where I started, was like the bluesy
I
side of
forgot
John
that's
Mayer.
what we were talking about.
Yeah, I'll tie it back. So I started with like the bluesy side. I kind of grew up with my dad. He was a total 80s rocker, listening to like Van Halen, Poison, old, Boston, stuff like that. So
Motley
that's like
Crue.
all the bands I grew up listening to, Motley Crue. Those were huge ones for me. So that's like really what inspired me to pick up the guitar. When I was 6 years old, I heard, my dad, put in a Guns N' Roses, CD, and I was like, sweet child of mine, just like every other guitar player in the world. That's the first song you want to learn. And,
Mine was All the Small Things.
heck yeah. Well, I got into that later. It was kind of funny because it was like right after like, the hair band stuff, I was like, okay, this stuff is like too old for me now. Like I'm like
You
done
wanted to
with
find
it.
your own.
And that's when I found Blink. Actually, it was like that's kind of the band that I grew up listening to as far as getting me into the pop punk thing. And then it was funny because right out of Blink is when I started going to Warped Tour. I think my first Warped Tour was 2015. I know I'm a baby, but my first Warped Tour was 2015.
Poor thing, man. You missed out on
And
a lot of good shit.
I know I did, man.
2008 was my first one, and I
Yes.
think
Jesus.
the main reason I went was to see Angels and Airwaves, and
Oh hell yeah!
also saw Katy Perry.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was like
Oh,
the year 303 played.
Yes.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
I think 2007 was like my first start, and then I went like 4 years in a row, and then I skipped a couple. And then
I went 9 years. I almost went 10 years in a row, and then I think it was.
6.
When did they do the last one? 2017.
2019.
Last year.
Was it?
Eighteen.
Well, no, like the last traveling one.
17, I think.
It was
No,
17.
No, it was only 2 years ago. I went to it in Denver.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Two-
17.
So 17.
Oh, gotcha. You're talking about the year of the Warped Tour.
So 2016 was the first year that I didn't go, just because like I love Warped Tour, but the bands just.
Got a little ridiculous.
So to give you an idea of
Yeah.
how young I am, back in 2008 was your first one. I was 9 years old. Yeah. Okay. So anyway, I went to my first Warped Tour in 2015, and I was listening to like Blink, and that was the band that was like, played Warped Tour. So I was like, fuck yeah, I want to go to Warped Tour because of Blink and, whatever. And then that's when I discovered Knuckle Puck, because I went there and I saw their set and it just blew my mind. So I bought one of their CDs.
That was when Copacetic came out that year.
Yeah.
The green
Yeah.
green album.
It was actually before that. It was right before they put it out, because I purchased both of their EPs. It was the one with like the steps walking up to the house, and then the
like
one with
Oak
like
Street.
the rollerblades on it,
That's
like right in the
was
street.
No good.
Yeah, no good. And I bought both of those CDs, and for the next literally 2 years, those were the only 2 CDs in my car. So I got in with Knuckle Puck. And that's kind of what really brought me into the whole